Welcome to Web Development Lesson 1.3. In this lesson, we're going to cover hyperlinks. Hyperlinks are essential to the web because it allows us to connect different web pages as well as connect to resources. In doing this, we're going to review HTML element attributes as well as the concept of local, internal versus external resources. So let's get to it. So before we launch into the actual code, let's just do a little exploration of hyperlinks. And I'm going to use the Bayside High School website. So what is a hyperlink? It's something we can click on that will take us to some resources. Now in this particular case, it downloaded a Word doc for the bell schedule. So I'm going to open it up. Hopefully it doesn't take forever. So this was our old bell schedule actually. So I'm going to close that out. That's one type of hyperlink. Another type of hyperlink can take us to another web page. Right? So these are hyperlinks. The fact that there are sections of a web page that we can make clickable that will take the user to some resource, a different web page, a different website. So let's explore how we are able to accomplish this via code. So unlike some of the other HTML elements, which are self-documenting in the sense, P for paragraph, IMG for image, H1 for heading, a hyperlink starts with the letter A. And A is an anchor. An anchor has multiple purposes, but for what we're doing today, we're going to combine the anchor, the A, with an attribute called href. This is really what makes this a hyperlink. And you could kind of think of this like a hyperlink reference. So what do we want to link to? So let's do HTTPS. We'll keep it simple. Let's just simply link to Google. Let's give the user on our web page the ability to click on something that takes them to Google. So a hyperlink has a couple of parts. The first part is, what do we want to link to? The second part is, what is the user going to see on the screen that they can click on that takes them to Google? So it would seem obvious. Let's put the word Google. Now the last part of a hyperlink is we have to close it. If we don't close a hyperlink, what happens is that everything else that follows will link us to that. And again, this goes back to the notion that HTML is very forgiving, which is a positive and a negative thing. It's not going to scream at you. It's going to allow you to make a whole page a hyperlink. But that's obviously not what you want. So let's go ahead and run this. And one of the things you'll see is there's a color change. In this particular case, it's purple because I've already clicked on it from a previous practice. But normally hyperlinks are blue. They're underlined. And when you put your mouse over it, it turns into a little hand. Now, you might be tempted to click on it from here. You're going to get an error. It's nothing wrong with the code. It's nothing wrong with the website. It has to do that Google will not allow you to open Google in what's called a little window, like an iframe. So to test this code out, we'll have to open up into a new tab. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to make this a little bigger so you can actually see the word Google. So here's our hyperlink. It still turns into a little hand, and when I click on it, it actually takes us to Google. So you've created your first hyperlink. You've made your first connection between resources on the internet. So let's review some other things that we can hyperlink. Because obviously you could, at this point, once you have this type of a concept of an external resource, which you practice in your image lesson, the previous lesson, you can link to anything on the internet. Now let's talk about things that we can link to locally. So we're going to start with the first one, which is simply an image. So we're going to say a href equals, and let's put zombie.png. I'm pretty sure it's a PNG because I see the P there. Let's open up a little bit more. Okay. And now we got to give the person something to click on in order to make this happen. So let's just simply put the word monster. And I did this, you don't think that the name of the file, the name of the resource somehow has to be exact as what the person clicks on. So let's go ahead and run it. We're going to see that we got Google. We're not going to click on Google. Because this is an internal resource, we'll be able to click on this to preview it here if we want to. And I'm going to start off like that. All right, so here's your link. And I'm going to do it on this side too. Go back here, hit refresh. Here's monster. And it actually took me to the picture of the monster, which is huge. So you might say, oh, is there any way of resizing this picture? There isn't, because of the fact that you are linking physically to the picture. This is not an IMG. This is not an HTML element. You are simply delivering the picture to the user. This is similar to what you would do if you did like a copy image address. And that's essentially what you've done. You've provided an image resource on the internet, on the web. Now, you'll also notice, I'm going to refresh this page, run it again. Notice that the hyperlinks come up next to each other. By default, hyperlinks do not skip down to next line. So as a little review, let's simply add a BR. Let's run it. And we can see that it skips down to next line. So we're going to do that also for this one. And just as another review, let's throw it HR. All right, so let's do another hyperlink. Let's do href equals data.csv. CSV is a type. Matter of fact, let me just show it to you. It doesn't take too long to load up. It's just data, bunch of numbers, something that you could do in terms of analysis, which you will explore later in the year as part of this course. But for right now, it's just a file with data. So let's go back. Let's link to it, and let's just call it data. So don't forget the parts. First part is to provide the link of what resource you're linking to, and these two happen to be internal resources. Data is what the person's going to see on the screen that they can click on, and then lastly, the closing of the hyperlink. Because if you don't close it, again, everything that comes afterwards becomes part of the link. So let's click here so we can see here the horizontal line. I'm going to open this up. I'm going to preview this on the tab version of this. So I'm going to go here because I want you to see what happens. I'm going to click on data. Nothing pops up. Nothing pops up because this file was downloaded. So there's certain files that will not display in the browser. That when you click on them, the browser will just automatically download it. So let's continue on. Let's put a BR here. Again, this is another example of an internal resource. And hopefully between the image lesson and this lesson, you kind of got a sense of what an external resource is. Something that's located out on the internet, out on the web. So I believe the last example I'm going to provide you is this idea that we can have resources that are inside of a folder, similar to images. So all we have to do is provide the folder name first. Oops, chomp.wave. And we'll do something else. Let's say hungry. So this is yet another example of an internal resource, but internal resource with an internal folder. So all you have to do is just simply navigate down to the folder, to the file, and then provide that as the resource. So let's view that, and I'm going to view it here on the external page. So here's hungry. Let's click on it. So again, you'll notice that this one, it is something that can be displayed on the browser, and it happens to be a WAV file, so it kind of gives you this nice little control panel that you can play the wave. So let's go back to our presentation and let's review what we've covered today. So hyperlinks are essential to the web. It allows us to connect to resources, connect to different web pages, connect to different websites. It shares a lot of similarities with the HTML image element in terms of requiring additional attributes to have to specify the source of what the the hyperlink is going to, and also the fact that there's the ability to link to local internal resources as well as external resources that are on the internet. So enjoy.